If you clicked on this video and you're anything like me, chances are you've been on a lot of awkward first dates. You're there on the date sitting across from the girl that you like and you're overthinking, oh, do I make a move? Oh, do I hold her hand? Oh, do I go for a hug? Oh, how do I do that? And then you overthink and you end up doing nothing. And then because of that, she never hits you up again. I remember this one time I went on a date with a girl to the movies, which by the way, that was a terrible idea. Never ever do that for a first date. But anyways, we went to go get some ice cream and everything was going pretty well. And then we got to the movie and the whole time I was just like awkwardly sat there just like watching the movie. And we were seeing Star Wars, so I was personally pretty excited, but I could tell like the whole vibe was just super awkward. And one of the main reasons was because I just never made a move. I was sat there watching the movie and then at the end of the date, I took her home, didn't do anything, and then I texted her later that night and was like, oh yeah, we should go out again sometime. And she never texted me back. And now I have a girlfriend, so this is something that I solved like quite a while back in my life, so I'm gonna teach you exactly how to do it. Because I remember back then, for me, a very specific challenge was not necessarily getting girls to go on dates, but it was like what to do when you're there. Because the whole time, like I'd feel super awkward because it's like, do I make a move? Do I not make a move? So I'm gonna clear up everything about that in this video so you never have to struggle with this ever again. In order to look at this transformation we're gonna make, let's look at these two guys, Timmy and Alexander. Timmy goes on a first date. The whole time he sat there gripping his drink, overthinking, oh, do I hold her hand? Oh, do I make a move? Oh, how do I do that? Because Timmy is overthinking and he's so worried about it, he never makes a move. Later that night after the date, Timmy is in his room thinking to himself, oh, I really wish I would have gone and made a move. And then he texts the girl and she never texts him back. After this failure, Timmy gives one of his friends a call to give him some advice. Who is this friend, you may ask? Alexander. Alexander, he never overthinks. Because he knows exactly what he's doing, Alexander can act with confidence. He sets the vibe, he knows how to lead, he escalates properly, and because of this, women love Alexander. Alexander then explains to Timmy the 4 steps on escalating with a girl. And what did Alexander tell Timmy? That's what we're gonna go over in this video. Step 1, you gotta choose the right location. One of the biggest mistakes I made in this story that I talked about earlier was that I chose to go to the movies, but the movies is an absolutely terrible idea for a first date because how are you going to talk? How are you going to make conversation? That's the whole point of a first date. How is a girl going to be comfortable with you to make a move if you don't even talk the whole time? Like you've said like 6 words to each other the whole date. So what you need to do instead, don't pick somewhere that's super loud or you have to be super quiet. Pick something where it's easy for conversation, where you can talk about stuff and get to actually know each other. And also, I've noticed it's great to pick a date where you're active, where you're out doing things, something like bowling, mini golf, a picnic, right? Somewhere where you're not just like sat in the same place the whole time because that's boring. A good way to think about it is go do something with her that you would already do by yourself. Like pick something that you think is fun, an activity that you actually enjoy doing that you would go do if you were alone, because that way you're gonna have a lot more fun and she's gonna see that and it'll lead to her having a lot more fun. Because the truth is, as a man, you set the frame, you set the tone for how a date goes. If you're not excited, if you're like super nervous about it, which, okay, being nervous a bit is completely fine, but if you're not excited about it and you don't have enthusiasm for it, she's gonna see that right through you and she's gonna take on that mindset. So what you have to do is you have to have a date that you're excited about. You have to have fun. Make having fun more the focus than just being serious. And ideally for a first date, you want to go to multiple places because this gives the vibe that you've gone on multiple dates in one date. It kind of like makes her feel more comfortable with you, like you've done more stuff than if you just go to one place. So what could this look like? Well, this could look like you pick her up, you go get some ice cream, then you go for a walk to a park, then you take a drive over to a cool spot where you can go and watch a sunset. Then after that, maybe you go out to dinner or you go see a movie, right? You're doing multiple things on the first date. And the reason why this makes you stand out so much is because almost no guys do this. So when you take a little extra effort and you put a little more in, she'll see that and it'll make you really stand out. And plus, it's a lot more fun to do multiple things than just one thing in a first date, so she'll have more of a good time and then she'll associate those positive feelings with you. The second step to escalating with a girl is you have to break the touch barrier early. The longer you wait to break the touch barrier, the more awkward it's gonna be, right? The longer you go without like making any sort of physical contact, the harder it's gonna be. So how do you do this? Well, when you first pick her up or you first see her out of the date, just go in for a hug. And you don't got to go in for like a huge, like, you know, 2-hand hug. Just go for a quick little side hug because it may not seem like a big deal, But once you break the touch barrier, stuff after that is going to be much easier because you've already broken the ice. You've already gotten started. And that at least shows that she's somewhat receptive to physical contact. Step 3, you have to slowly escalate. Now, there's a fine line between you don't want to go like all in and make a move right away, but you also don't want to not make a move at all, because both of those extremes are not good. You don't want to be the guy who never makes a move, and you also don't want to be a guy who makes a move before she's ready. So how do you know how to go about this, and how do you know that she's ready? Well, you start slow, like we talked about earlier. Just go in for a hug right at the start of the date, and then maybe a little bit later on, you go to hold her hand, or you go to put your arm around her. Because think about it, if you just at the end of the date go in for the kiss without any sort of escalation before that, what are the odds it's going to be successful? Very low. But if you work up to it, if you slowly build up to it, you're a lot more likely going to have success. And also, what's very important is reading her body language. There's a few things you can look at to know whether or not a girl is into you. The first is how receptive is she to physical contact. Like if you go in to like put your arm around her and she like backs away, or you're walking with her and she's kind of like a little far away from you, that's just a sign that she's not ready yet. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that at all. But that's a sign that she's probably not ready for you to make a move. But if you're walking and she's like bumping into you, I've noticed a lot of times on first dates, girls will like accidentally bump into you, or they'll accidentally like, grab you. But if they do that, a lot of times it is intentional. So when she's doing things like that, that's a sign that she's more receptive to you and she's more ready. Also, how is she like facing you with her body language? If she's always like pointed away from you, or she's not making eye contact with you, she could just be shy, but that's most likely a sign that she's not really into you. Versus if she's like engaging in conversation with you, if she's asking you questions, if she seems enthusiastic, that's a great sign. Then step 4, at the end of the date, go for the kiss. Now you're like, what? But what if I get rejected? Okay, think about it this way. Yeah, you could get rejected. Yeah, it could not go well, but going for the kiss is a great way to read her interest level. If you go for the kiss and she doesn't want to go for it, then you just know, okay, she probably doesn't have very high interest, or she's just not ready. But if you go for the kiss and she goes for it, then you know that she has somewhat high interest. And also, it demonstrates a lot of confidence, because a lot of guys don't do this. A lot of guys wuss out of it. So stop always having a scarcity mindset. Stop always telling yourself, oh, what if I fail? What if I get rejected? Instead, if you get rejected, who cares? It's not a huge deal, because even if she doesn't want to go for the kiss, then you just know, okay, it's probably not worth my time to go on another date with her. And in my opinion, rejection is always so much better than not trying at all. That feeling of like sitting in your room, wishing you would have made a move, wishing you would have asked for the girl's number, wishing you would have talked to her, that feeling, in my opinion, is always so much worse than when you get rejected. Because when you get rejected, you at least have closure. You at least know that you tried and you have something to learn from. And the truth is, how you view rejection will determine a lot about how your dating life goes. If you can have a positive mindset towards rejection and learn from it, you'll do much better than the guy who beats himself up and who gets down on himself. So always just go for the kiss at the end of the date. And if he doesn't go for it, no worries, but it's better to have confidence than to not have confidence. So if this video helped, leave a like and subscribe so you can see more videos like these, and I'll see you for the next video.